Greetings. It is Yuki once again. Are you brand new to Tarkov and never heard of this game? Or are you thinking of playing this but you do not know where to start? In this video, we're going to go over how to watch Tarkov in terms of SPT and what to look forward to when you're trying to learn how to play and watch the game, especially on my other channel, Yuki SPT, as we get ready for Season 0 starting tomorrow. So, to get started, you actually have this. This is how you start SPT. This is your main menu. Now, do keep in mind, I have played a lot on this profile, so the items you start with are different. But I'm going to show you what you get. So to get started, to understand your loadout, go to character. You're gonna see that I have stuff already because I've been playing SPT for a little bit. And as you can see, I'm going to demonstrate what everything is, where everything goes, and how to use your loadout. Keep in mind that in the SPT that you can mod the way that the game works. So there's a mod called that I can actually customize what happens after you die in a raid, where you can actually keep what you brought in. But in default terms, anything that you brought in and anything you found, if you die in the raid, you actually lose the items. So let me demonstrate what the loadout is for. So on the top left corner, you have your earpiece. Think of headphones. Now, what is this for? So in battle, in gunfight, you hear the weapon, you hear gun, you hear bullets, you hear guns. And what do guns sound like? They are loud. So in this game, they take earpieces as like headphones. Not only that, you will also need that for voice chat in game. Now, do keep in mind in SCPT you cannot do voice chat because it's single player only. Headgear, headwear, helmets, hats, they are useful for protecting your head. Obviously, face cover used for face cover. Armband, you can find specialty armbands in this game. Then we have the body armor. Body armor protects the what? The body. Eyewear, glasses, or goggles. Then we have the weapons for you guys. You are allowed two weapons on the sling and on the back, and if you want to have a pistol, that will be the holster and a knife. So in total, you have an option for a lot of slots here. Do keep in mind that it is one per slot, and certain items cannot be used with other items. We'll get into those when we get into Season 0 starting tomorrow. Now I would like to present the middle of the loadout. This is your bags and pockets. So when a streamer or a content creator says I'm going to put items in my pockets or in my backpack, this is what they mean. And you also have something called a tactical rig. That's also another form of a backpack because you can put items in there. Now, before we start discussing how many slots, we also need to talk about item slot take up. So as you guys can see, this magazine takes up 2 spots. Each spot is 1 square, but certain items take up more than one box. Weapons take up a lot, that's why you don't usually see weapons in the tactical rig. You see them in the backpack. Now, certain items like bullets take up 1 slot. Certain items like magazines take 2 slots. And weapons, if you find them in raid, if you want to put them in the backpack, they can take up a lot of slots. Like this one right here. So make sure you have the right type of backpack in order to put that weapon into the bag. Now the best knowledge the go-to is usually put the weapons in the backpack. when you find them in raid, or if you want to find one, if you find one that you like, you you discard the one you don't want from your sling or your back, and then you replace it with the one you found in raid. The next thing you're gonna notice is a special pouch. The special pouch is called a secure container. Now there are different sizes based on the edition of the game. In SPT, you can choose a different profile, but once you choose a profile, that is it. Profiles include Edge of Darkness, Unheard of, and Zero to Hero. In any of the editions, you're going to get items to start with, including this secure container. The secure container of choice will be depending on the edition of choice. So if you get the Unheard of profile, you get a bigger secure container. This is special because in the secure container, any item, if you lose in the raid, if you die in the raid, you lose everything except for anything in the secure container. That is safe. So whatever you can grab, especially in the secure container, put it in there. You never know, you could sell it for something. Items that should go in there include anything that is valuable that you can sell, or like a lab key card, especially if you want to go to labs. Talk about maps in a moment. On the right side of your screen, we have the stash. The stash is where everything you put in is stored. If you do not want to bring a weapon, you put it in the stash. If you don't want to bring a valuable, you put it into the stash. Anything you want saved in case you die in a raid, you put it into the stash. Into the stash. The stash sizes will be depending on this version you choose. For example, if you chose the unheard of edition for the profile, you are going to grab a lot of space. So make sure you guys do that. Sorry about the noise in the background. Now, how many items can you place in here? A lot. And then we have the quick use hotbar. So in the game, you are in the raid, you're going to be able to use these buttons to quickly access the weapon of or item of choice. Press the button corresponding to the buttons to grab that. Now that I told you guys about the the loadout selection, I would like now to present to you the next important part of what Tarkov is, if you guys want to watch and understand the game, and that is the health tab. This health tab will tell you which body part is currently in critical condition. In Tarkov, the way that the health works is different. The 447 you see on the bottom left there is total health points. Now they divide that into different body parts, as you can see on the figure on the left. The thorax, the head, the right arm, stomach, left arm, and both right and left legs are having HP values. This is critical to understand because certain parts of enemies and characters have different numbers of HP, and it's very critical to understand this in Tarkov because certain parts that are damaged can have an effect on the character, from running to healing to other effects that might that that will hurt the character. Now you might be wondering, why is this important for the game? It is because what they do in Tarkov is one of those games that try to replicate our IRL, real life. So if your arm is injured, you can't use it, right? Correct. In Tarkov, they replicate that in a way. So to heal that, you need something like a tourniquet or like a first aid kit. That's why you want That's why in the stash you want to bring a first aid kit. Yes, you will risk at the first aid kit when you lose a raid. However, it's better to have one than not have one, especially if you're trying to do those big fat raids from like later levels. So this is the help tab, especially if you want me to demonstrate that. The next tab you're gonna find is the skills tab. Now, the skills tab will be helpful if you like do certain tasks inside of the game, inside of the raid. Once you earn a level, you will level up in that particular aspect, and it will continue until you either wipe or you do a new profile. Very straightforward here. I would suggest that you understand all these to understand the game. We have the map area. These are maps of the actual maps that you'll be raiding in when you get into Tarkov. Task. Task are quests in this game. So task, you find it from the traders, which we'll go over in a moment. Traders will allow you to get tasks. Now, tasks allow you to earn items. However, some tasks will allow you to progress into the quest line, which allows you to earn certain items or even a certain map. For example, one of the quest lines allows you to get the labyrinth map, which is why it's not allowed in the seasons because we may or may not get to it. But there is a quest line you have to complete, and you have to complete all of that in order to get a chance at the labyrinth. We also have the labs, which is also require an item which you can also grab with a quest line. So these are quests. Achievement is achievements. Prestige is prestige. All right. That is your basic understanding of how Tarkov works. Except now we're going to go to the shopping. So every time you go to a raid, you can earn money. Sometimes you can find money on the ground or in a weapon case or anything. And sometimes you can sell a lot of stuff. So how do you spend that money you earned? That is because you can go to the traders. The traders shown here are your default traders with the exception of a few that will because of SPT. Each trader is a specialty of something in the game. For example, we have proper PRAPOR, who does weapons, who does attachments. So that is your guy for that. And there are three currencies in Tarkov: rubles, euros, and dollars, like USD. Rubles are the currency you are going to be most familiar with. So here I have 731,013 rubles. I have 0 euros and 0 US dollars. Now, GP, I'm not sure what that is. Now, the other thing you will be able to see that you get loyalty. Certain attitude levels and loyalty levels allow you to earn items or buy more items. Keep in mind that each trader allows you to sell and buy certain items. You may have noticed though there are levels. There's a 2, there's a 3 in Roman numeral. These items are not unlocked until you get to a certain attitude level, depending on your attitude with proper. When I say attitude, remember when I said about quest? That is because certain traders have quests for you to complete, including this one from Proper, shooting cans. This is your first quest that you can grab from Proper. Therapist has something similar. except she sells medical items. And then here is therapist's first quest, first in line, all right, which you can accept at any time. We have Fence, who does not have a quest because there's no green check mark. We have Skier, who has another quest called Burning Rubber for you guys to use to try it. Then we have Mechanic, who has a quest for you. Now, do keep in mind, each quest is different in terms of where to play. For example, this quest from Mechanic requires you to be in ground zero. The quest for Therapist requires you to also be in ground zero, and Proper requires you to be also in ground zero. Skier is also ground zero. So most of the first quests you're gonna grab are in ground zero, which is why a lot of streamers and content creators who play SPT will require to use for questing ground zero as their first map. You don't have to if you're brand new, but you if you want to do questing, you could. The next thing we're going to talk about is the flea market. The flea market allows you to buy items from sellers and other players. Now, keep in mind, because you are playing SPT, it is single player only, but you can see other players in a way for SPT. You can wish list items and all that cool stuff. Keep in mind of the purchase price is in rubles or dollars or euros when you are making your decision. The next thing we're going to be talking about is the other important thing in terms of this game, and that is the hideout. The hideout is a special area where you can actually upgrade certain items and certain effects of your game. The hideout is most visited by anybody who is playing SPT because that is where you can do a lot of cool stuff. For example, in Stash, you can upgrade the stash. Okay, so the stash right now is a small stash at 10 times 28. At level 2, we can get more. We can open the stash here. The stash size would be 10 to 30. Now, sometimes you're going to be required to have items. In level 2, we have to upgrade vents. And to upgrade vents, we need the following. We need 4 of this guy, which is the WO40 100 milliliter. We need the hand drill. We need this item called the pack of nails. And we need a pack of screws and 2,500,000 rubles. When we have all this, we can get the this, the upgraded stash. Rubles are easy to find, but you have to find all these guys in the raids. There is a custom trader you may use from mods that you can purchase these items called Hideout Harry. However, I will not use that mod for the reasons of I want to do it myself. Like I want to find these items like in a raid, like for real. Event construction is going to be free, not free, but 25,000 rubles. Okay, so we're going to construct this. And now we're going to, if you want to go for upgrade level 2, we need these items. Now they're in blue. They are in blue. So you know what type there is, especially if it's blue in raid. Another upgrade we can go for is going to be later in the map. Let's go to lavatory. Lavatory allows you to get armor repair and repair kits for 2,000 to 2,000 rubles and one tissue, one toothpaste, one soap, and one owl AWL. You can get this item, this upgrade. So there's many things you can get in here, including a nutrition unit with energy regeneration rate plus 6 per hour or 60 an hour per total. So make sure you guys take a look at the hideout when you are playing. Look for those items that find in blue background. Some of them are purple because they are rare. So don't ignore those little items that it's just a tissue paper because that tissue paper could be useful for a upgrade in the hideout. So don't neglect the hideout just because it's a 30 raid season. Shooting range allows you to get firearm testing. I'm missing one item here, and that is the screw nuts. Okay, so that's the main part of the hideout and the trading and what you need to know when you watch somebody play Tarkov or play Tarkov yourself. In order to get started, you have to escape from Tarkov. You have two choices. You can be a PMC, player main character, which is the one you made at the start of the when you start your file, or a scab. The difference is the following: if you are playing as a scab, if you fail to extract, it's no penalty. Yes, you do lose anything, but it's random gear actually. You get random gear from the game. If you lose there, you're not losing anything much because you're not going to keep it if you lose. However, exfilling as a scab allows you to actually take what you just earned in the scab run and give it to your PMC, which is huge because in certain YouTubers have done what they call scab raids in parts of their seasons, and we may even try this season one later in September. So do keep in mind that scab runs should not be used in substitution of a main raid. Only do this if you want to try it and if it's a special raid. Now there is one YouTuber called Phoenix, I believe it's Phoenix or somebody else, who actually it's Gamer Visual, excuse me. Gamer Visuals actually does a story, an RPG story, like a role play, where if his main character dies, you can have a scab run, and then what happens there is if he wins the scab raid, he gets everything from the scab run, but the main player character must quote unquote pay the scab for a thank you. It's like a thank you, and that payment is in the form of rubles, in the form of a basic deposit. Let's say, for example, 25,000 ruble. Now, will we do something like that for our seasons because I got inspired by it? Yes and no. We're gonna do something similar. We're not doing the same thing. We're doing something unique with that. So wait on that for now. But the PMC raids are the ones where if you bring if you bring anything, and if you lose the raid, you lose everything. Assuming that you do not have the mod that I have that allows you to keep what you brought. Okay. After that, you will be treated to this screen, which is to select a location. This is your maps. You may be wondering why two of them are a little bit more interesting than the others. Terminal is not allowed because that map is technically a tutorial level, and the lab is actually a very special location because that particular map requires you to have a lab key card. Not only a lab key card, but you also can use a quest line. I believe it's from Mechanic or Proper that forces you to follow the quest line to grab a key card and access to the lab. So for that reason, we cannot use the lab as part of our runs in our seasons because we need the access cards. There's also one map I did not show you here, and that is the labyrinth. The labyrinth is only going to be shown if you unlocked it, and the way you unlock it is through a quest line, meaning you have to do a quest line, as in a series of quests from one of the traders. I forgot who it was. I think it was Proper or Mechanic. One of those two traders has a quest line for you to follow. Once you follow that quest line and you complete all the quests, you can unlock the labyrinth. But because that labyrinth is technically a quest line quest, we cannot allow it as part of our seasons because we never know if we're going to be able to complete the quest or not, especially how random the loot is. So, the maps of choice that I would go for if you're a beginner include Factory and Reserve. Excuse me. The reason for Factory is because it's a small map that allows you to literally get to the first exfil in 5 minutes if you're lucky. The other reason why Factory is because if you like close corners combat. It is a small map, therefore do expect a lot of close corner combat in terms of gunplay. The other map I would consider as beginner is Reserve. Now do keep in mind I have a mod that allows AI limiter that has a limit on AI, how much AI can spawn. Do keep in mind that on normal circumstances, I would still choose Factory and Reserve, assuming that you are playing SPT. Do not choose them if you are playing regular live Tarkov. They are very competitive in those two maps. Okay, now the other map on the map I would avoid if your computer does not have enough CPU is Streets of Tarkov, also known as Streets. And the reason for that is because the Streets of Tarkov map is very big and there's a lot of objects. If your computer cannot handle that many objects, stay away from streets until you upgrade your computer, or you play the upgraded $20 add-on for the PVE. So those are the maps. That map is the one I would avoid, the streets, especially with your PC. The map I would consider for beginners includes Factory and Reserve. When you select a map, you're going to be able to see the information and all that good stuff and press next. In PSPT, you'll be able to choose options. I'm going to choose next because I want to explain this screen, and that is called the insurance screen. Insurance allows you to insure an item or weapon or anything you would like to insure in the event that you lose an raid. If you lose an raid, you lose everything. But if you insured it, you still lose the item temporarily. But Proper here is going to help you get your return. You give you a return. You also have therapists as well. I would consider Proper though, but its return rate is very slow. But there are no exceptions. Okay? So do keep that in mind that if you do insure an item, it will cost you rubles. They're not free, obviously. When you press next, you're gonna see this screen right here. This is a final warning that you are about to raid Factory in this example. Now you may wonder what is current time. Current in-game time is 15:28:000. That stands for 3:28 in the afternoon. Does this matter to the game? Yes, it does. In certain maps, it will be very dark, and certain maps also have certain events that happen in the dark. The same thing in the morning. Certain maps have certain events in the morning. You want to be very careful when you're first raiding. You want to choose something in the afternoon so that you can see better, not something at night. Now, keep in mind, all these are random times except for factory. Factory seems to be fixed always at 3 p.m., 3:30 p.m. and something in the morning. Excuse me, something at night. Press back if you're not ready, press next, press ready if you are ready. You can also jump straight to ready by pressing ready. But keep in mind, if you press ready here, you skipping the insurance step. So be very confident that you want to do that, especially if you have not insured anything. This is the last warning, and the insurance screen is the last warning that you are going to not insure anything. That if you want to insure anything, insure it now before you rate it, because if you lose the rate, you lose everything. So be very careful when you want to rate. And that is your basic knowledge of Tarkov. You can also check the map of the area you are location, except you don't have any in your inventory. There are maps you can purchase. I would use the dynamic maps mod to do it. So that is your Tarkov 101. Especially if you're brand new to Tarkov, never played it before or never watched it before. That's what you can expect when we launch Season 0 starting tomorrow night at 5:30. If you have any questions about the game, make sure you to let me know. I'll try my best to answer as much as I can. Keep in mind I'm a rookie. But if you want to watch an actual, like, somebody who has been playing this for a while and want to see what a season looks like, check out Phoenix. Phoenix, search for Phoenix, like the city of Arizona. Phoenix SPT. You have to search those terms. Or if you would like to learn more about the mods for SPT, take a look at Starvox, SCARVOX, Starvox. He is the one who talks about the updates to mods like Sane or Donuts or anything in those lines. Just keep in mind, the one rule of Tarkov is you win you win if you are great at what you do. You have to be tactical. And there's one rule you have to follow. Raid, loot, survive. Those are the rules of Tarkov. If you follow those rules, you win. That is how this game works. And I hope you understood how this game works. And we'll see you tomorrow when Season 0 begins.